welcome back to the Smarktank Revolution, where we always kick out at 2.
First of all, I'm sorry for interrupting our benevolent introduction. We happen to have the Ruthless Aggression, what's the documentary or whatever?
Yeah.
Following a great NXT pay-per-view. By the way, he's Joey Business. I'm Donnie Wonderful. And they're just showing some of these old
the highlights
vignettes.
and lowlights.
And I remember like right now they're showing the APA at the bar. Oh man, that was
the Chuck and Billy. This was great. When they stole the scene from Tori and Stacy, that was awesome.
It was a great year, great time to be a wrestling fan, especially following the Monday Night Wars and the Attitude Era. I think it was one of the best follow-ups to a hot period of time. Like I would call that would you call that wrestling's prime?
Wrestling's prime was from my personal thing. It would be from the what in the hell? I'm sorry. It would be from the Attitude Era to the end of the Ruthless Aggression Era. So it would go from like 97 or now I'll go further. 96 through we'll go 97 through 2003, 2004.
Okay.
By far. Yeah, up to WrestleMania 20 was the prime, I feel.
Okay.
After WrestleMania 20, it started to really dip for a while.
Oh, interesting.
I feel so. But because you got to remember, WrestleMania 20 was like the culmination of everything. And it was definitely a changing of the guard where you had Lesnar and Goldberg leaving. Mm-hmm. It was basically the holdovers of all the top tier older guys were really leaving. And now you were getting like the John Cena's and all the people like that. So 2004, John Cena came into his prime. He won his first title
the
U.S. title in the opening of WrestleMania. Right. And that was a cool thing, too, because at WrestleMania 19, he came out on Sunday Night Heat and Babe Ruth his shot. He called it. He said, next year, I'm not going to be on Heat. I'm going to be in the ring. I'm going to be in the main show. And sure enough, he opened up the main show and won from the Big Show, and one of Big Show's only memorable matches in that point. Not that Big Show's a bad ring worker. It's just he didn't have a great run in WWE for a little while. And Cena really kind of kicked off the Ruthless Aggression new era. Mm-hmm. So he was like the beginning of the Ruthless Aggression era, and then he carried it forward. And I would have to say from like 2004 after WrestleMania till Edge won the title in 2006 in January was a really dry meh spell of wrestling.
You know what? I'm glad you brought up Edge because when you were talking about John Cena, I was thinking about him now. What did you think of Edge, especially Edge and Christian, their development during those years? Because he came in and it was what was he like the gothic lost soul?
Yeah.
And then they discovered his charisma. I don't necessarily remember when they discovered that Edge was great on the mic, and then Edge and Christian were both great on the mic together. But I remember that transition being smooth. What did you think of first Edge and Christian, and then Edge edging himself, with the pun intended, as a solo star?
See, I think if you didn't have the Hardy Boys, we would have never got that version of Edge and Christian. Okay. I think they would have kept them gothic. I don't remember exactly when myself either because, there's 1,000-something plus episodes to go through of Raw. But I do remember that I didn't relate to Edge and Christian when they were the Brood so much. Thought they were cool. They had a neat gimmick. They came in, they dropped blood on people and whatever, and it was all right. But Edge, when they started letting Edge do one-on-one matches and solo main events, I think Edge really came into his own when he started facing Jeff Jarrett. He had a feud with Jeff Jarrett for the IC title. Okay. That split him from Christian. Now, they didn't stop being a team, but the focus was more on Edge's solo outing. When he won the title on that house show in Sky Dome in Toronto, it was like the weekend before Fully Loaded, 1999. I think Edge really, they knew that they had something because he did a promo after he won the title, not right after, but like one of the Raws after he won the title, and he really, he just was really good on the mic. And then when they started the whole Edge and Christian thing, when they started becoming funny, they saved themselves
Yeah,
because
sure
I think they would have been future endeavored back then because McMahon and the management was not afraid to let go of good wrestlers back then because they didn't fear competition. They didn't fear WCW. WCW didn't exist in 2004, and they didn't fear TNA. So it was like,
Well, that's true.
I'm sorry, even in 2000, not 2004. I'm talking 2000 when they became Edge and Christian that we knew.
Okay.
So even in 2000 when WCW was on its last legs, they weren't worried about them going to WCW or anything like that. So I think if you didn't have the Hardys come up with that Terry Invitational Tournament ladder match thing, if they didn't put that gimmick and that feud together, you would have never got Edge and Christian the way we got them. And yeah, their transition was pretty smooth. Edge was definitely the better of the two. He always was, though. Christian always seemed like his sidekick.
But yeah, and you know, you'll be hard pressed to find a bad Canadian wrestler.
Honestly,
think of it.
yeah, I would say so.
You know, I think that whole that whole territory should be renamed Professional Wrestling Stars. All of them are excellent. All of them. What's a bad Canadian? Who is a terrible Canadian wrestler?
You don't like even Petey Williams isn't a bad Canadian wrestler. He gave us the Canadian Destroyer.
You'll be hard pressed.
You can't find one. You really can't. Lance Storm. If I could be serious for a minute, Lance Storm is great. You know, there's nothing wrong with. I think Canadian wrestlers just they breed.
Kenny Omega,
amazing. And I don't care what you say, Jim Cornette. I heard today that you don't like him, but you're an idiot. No offense, and that's my opinion on that. Yeah, no, they're all great. Kevin Owens. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. One of the best wrestlers of all time, Chris Jericho, by far. Guy will be going probably 10 years from now. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but he'll still be reinvented somewhere.
And by the way, I love you, Jim Cornette. Donnie Wonderful loves you, and that's his opinion.
He's a very big fan of you.
Also, too, you know, and we're gonna get into NXT Takeover, the pay-per-view that just ended momentarily, but we had a conversation during the event where we were just naming like professional wrestling stars from the past, present, and we were pairing them with their rivals.
Yeah, their ultimate rivals. And you know, like, so we would say John Cena, and you know, I said John Cena and CM Punk.
He said John Cena, CM Punk. I said John Cena and Randy Orton. But like when we got to the older generation stars, like when we got to like the Hulk Hogan's, your first
Macho Man.
Said right. Joey Business said Macho Man. And then, well, no. You said Macho Man second because you started with the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh yeah, I did use Warrior.
But then we went to Macho Man, and then like what did we settle on?
We settled, I believe, on Flair. Right? Yeah,
Ric Flair. So I wanted to ask you again, and you know, some of our followers, and thank you guys for subscribing.
Yeah, in the 170,000 hits that you gave for our wonderful Scott Steiner interview. There's a lot more of that stuff coming.
Yes, a lot more in store. Like we have a few things on ice, but there's a lot more in store.
And we'll get another Big Papa Pump, and we won't be afraid to ask weird questions again.
But what I wanted to ask you, Joey Business, and you know, feel free to comment what you guys think, is when you speak of somebody's rival, what is the criteria to be a rival, to be the standalone rival? Because a lot of these guys, they wrestle each other a lot. But what is the standout marquee thing? And there has to be a few. There has to be a few items on the requirement or checklist that makes a person a rival. What are they? Let's identify them.
All right. So you got to have the promos.
The
memorable promos.
Okay.
The video packages. That's a
but that's out of their control because that's production.
Okay.
So what can we talk about?
The promos.
Okay.
And then you've got to have the matches themselves. The quality of matches.
The quality of matches.
Yeah.
Okay. So does the quality are we factoring in a quantity of matches as well? So okay. So by your standard then because. When we said Hulk Hogan, you originally said Ultimate Warrior. Now,
but
that's
it couldn't be. It couldn't be.
They only wrestled twice.
Yeah, that's the thing. It can't be twice. It's got to. Okay, so I take that back.
So there's a quantity.
There's a quantity. Let's say half a dozen times.
Ooh. half a dozen times. At pay-per-views or
in general,
or just in general.
Yeah.
Because when we spoke, when I asked you who Shawn Michaels,
Triple H.
That's not what you said first.
Oh, when I said Shawn Michaels.
When we said Shawn Michaels.
Oh, Shawn Michaels. I'm sorry. Bret Hart.
We said Bret, but
yeah.
But that's an easy. By the way, that's the excellence of execution. My favorite wrestler, in my opinion, the greatest wrestler of all time. But it's easy to say because of the personal animosity. Now they've wrestled each other more than half a dozen of times.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But we've only I can only think they had the Survivor Series '92.
Survivor Series.
The god awful Montreal Screwjob. The WrestleMania 12.
Yeah.
I know they had the ladder match that was like on Coliseum Home Video.
Yeah.
But that wasn't televised.
Right.
So but when you say Triple H, they've wrestled each other hundreds of times.
Oh, so many.
So Triple H would be, according to what we're breaking down now, Triple H would be more suited to be Shawn Michaels' greatest rival or the rival, more so than Bret. But what Bret and Shawn have is their personal animosity and the history of that.
So I guess, all right, this is a really tough criteria to break down because you can't say it's a half dozen times, because you know what? I still associate Shawn Michaels with Bret Hart, no matter what.
As we all
again,
do.
all right, so let's the memorable promos alone. So maybe let's not say promos. Let's say moments.
Moments? Okay.
Yeah, like a big memorable moment. They have to have that that iconic moment that when you go word association. Oh, Triple H and you'll be like The Rock.
Yep.
Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. You know what I mean? Stone Cold and The Rock, things like that, because those are the people that on a snap decision you associate with them. It's like ingrained in your brain that you just know that those two go together.
Right. So, and also when you say quality of the matches, of course the matches have to be good.
Yeah.
But also the significance of the match.
Yeah, I would say that's
so. Like we're gonna put that all under that quality of the match umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
We have like you said, like the promos, and these are all things I think that should be within the talent's control.
Yeah.
I guess
the feud itself,
the angles,
the angles is a big one because the angle with Michaels versus Bret Hart is obviously a lot more interesting than the angle with Triple H versus Michaels. Mm-hmm. However, Michaels and Triple H had some amazing angles in 2002.
Yeah, the betrayal. The
betrayal is just incredible, and they just had 2002 and 2003. That was their year. They wrestled in every match conceivable.
Yeah.
And culminating it in 2004 at WrestleMania 20.
Yeah.
So
okay. Who did we say was Triple H's greatest rival then?
I said Shawn Michaels.
But then you can also make an argument
for Austin and The Rock.
For Austin, Rock, Undertaker, Mick Foley, on and so forth. So if you had to pick one, I can understand you picking Shawn Michaels, but by the criteria that we're laying out and that we're discovering right now, you can make an argument for about 6 or 7 other guys. I mean, like even till today, but him and Batista only wrestled once, but they can, if they continue down that road, you can make that argument too. They're old. Triple H. Well, they're older. So
Triple H and Batista wrestled.
Triple H and Randy Orton.
Okay, Triple H and Batista wrestled 3 matches in a row. It was after WrestleMania 24. After WrestleMania 20, where was it WrestleMania 20 or WrestleMania 21? WrestleMania 21. It was that string of pay-per-views that Batista won the title at WrestleMania 21. Triple H lost the next 3 straight to Batista in every stipulation you could think of, culminating in Hell in the Cell. So
should also we include in what makes a good rivalry that the outcomes have to be so if they had 5 matches or 3-2 or you know what I mean, because it can't be dominating.
No, it has to be a back and forth.
Back and forth.
Yeah. So
seesaw matchup.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So for as many as they've won, they've lost. So yeah, there you go. So rivalries that meet that criteria. Randy Orton and John Cena. They've traded wins back and forth so many times. The significance is there. They've unified titles.
Yes. Yep.
They've main evented WrestleManias together.
Yep.
They've, there's so many things there. So with Triple H and Michaels, same thing. Back and forth. Traded titles.
Well, what about Ric Flair? Ric Flair's, decades in the game.
Yeah.
He's wrestled everyone.
Yeah.
Off air when we were talking, you had Ric Flair's greatest rival being Sting.
Absolutely. That I won't waver.
More so than Hogan?
Yes. Sting.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That defined WCW. That was their feud. That was the feud. So Ricky Steamboat and Flair was NWA, and it was a big, spectacular matches, by the way. But when you think of a main event feud, because at that time Hulk Hogan was still in WWF, and WWF was the top draw in town, and they were known as WCW was known as that Southern wrestling in a studio. So Sting and Flair tore the house down everywhere they went, and that was the thing that got people noticing WCW was Sting and Flair.
Yeah.
And it really, you know why I know that's right? How did Nitro end? The very last
match
was Sting versus Ric Flair. Yeah,
it was great. Well, we're gonna take a little quick break. We're gonna come back, and we may talk more about these rivals,
or we might talk some NXT,
or we might talk some. We are gonna talk some NXT. So
yep,
be right back. Hold on, guys.
You are listening to the Smarktank Revolution podcast. We are the know.
And we're back. Thank you guys for sticking around. Well, it's really just a jump cut for you all, but Smarktank Revolution, Donnie Wonderful. I'm Donnie Wonderful, Joey Business yet again.
Yes.
And we were talking about rivals, but we're gonna take a break from that because literally about 50 minutes ago, NXT Takeover just went off the air.
Oh my God, what a great pay-per-view again.
Tell us why.
Well, we were talking about, so-and-so in each one of the matches. You don't want to see them go to the main roster. But we're both of that progressive mindset where the main roster isn't even the main roster anymore. NXT is the friggin' main roster.
Yep.
People should be fighting to go down to NXT. That's how good they are. Like, that's what I love about Rhea Ripley and Charlotte, that whole feud culminating. Because Charlotte is arguably, and I don't care, I love Becky Lynch. I'm a humongous Becky Lynch mark. Forever. But Charlotte Flair is the greatest women's wrestler, sports entertainer, whatever you want to classify them as, that has ever lived. Period. And she will be the greatest of all time. Period. She's the Tom Brady of women's wrestling. She's incredible. She might even be better than her father when it gets down to it and the end of her legacy. She might be. She's just so... Because she's younger than her dad ever was at her point in her career, and she's already racked up 10 titles. Like, Ric Flair was in his 40s when he hit 16 times.
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, he was in his...
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
no,
he was
in his 40s when he hit the 16.
Yeah, he was. That's what I'm saying. Charlotte Flair is pushing maybe 30. Maybe. So, she's already at number 10. NXT title, if she wins it, will be 11.
But the era is different because, like back then when Ric Flair was winning all those titles, when Ric Flair was winning all those titles, champions would be champions for years upon years.
Exactly.
And, now as we say, they're playing a hot potato with the title.
They do play the hot potato. They don't play it as much as you think, though. Like the 99 era, towards the end of the Attitude Era, was way more hot potato than it is now. But Charlotte Flair is the greatest women's wrestler, period. I don't care.
Okay.
Prove me wrong. You can't.
And she's also a phenomenal NXT product.
Yeah, she
So,
right.
you know, her, spoiler alert, of course, her showing up at the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
You know, is a great homage to how well the system works.
Yep.
I have to give Triple H his just due, his props. Like, this is his baby, and like it just seems like he hits home runs all the time.
Every time.
I'm just not ready to switch from AEW on my Wednesday nights, but my DVR does work. So, like after my AEW, I'll go back to
NXT. The thing is, I'll put it this way: AEW is a much more entertaining week-to-week show than NXT. I feel. But NXT pay-per-views, name one bad takeover. Name one bad... You can't.
You can't.
They're just fucking amazing.
And tonight was no different.
Oh, my God. So you didn't get here until match number 3.
Johnny G!
So the opening match was Keith Lee versus Dominic Dijakovic.
And you're real big on Keith Lee.
I love Keith Lee. I think Keith Lee needs to be a household name, like more so than he is now. These guys are so good. I don't want them to go up to Raw or SmackDown because they get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
And we have seen major NXT products go up to Raw or SmackDown that flounder for years.
Yeah.
Until they find their footing.
Yeah, we were talking about how we wish that Ember Moon.
I wish she stayed.
Would be on this show that just passed for NXT.
Yeah, I wish.
And that she was on NXT now because like Ember Moon and Bianca Belair would be a great match.
Yeah.
And there's just so many. I feel like there's great pairings on the NXT side. You know, the main roster is recalling it. You know, like they're all recycling. They're having good matches, but you know, you've seen it about 7 or 8 times.
There's this weird formula with Raw that it doesn't exist on any of these other programs, that you see the recycling and the pairings. They can't get away from pairings once they're paired up. Like Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens.
Baron Corbin and
the Roman Reigns. Yeah, like how long have Baron Corbin and Roman Reigns been feuding? At least 6 months. So it's like, come on. I mean, how often do you have to see the pairing?
Yeah.
It's to the point of annoyance where you're like, okay, I don't even want to see these two face each other anymore. They can face a curtain jerker as long as it's something different to me. And then I've heard this, I read a lot, and I've heard the complaints about AEW. Oh, they wrestle the same people over and over again. I don't see that.
Me either.
At all.
Me either.
I actually can't think of a week where they've repeated in a row. Yeah, have they recycled back to wrestling the same person? Well, yeah, they have a limited roster. And they're about, 6 months into the business?
But there are weeks that'll go by where guys will be off TV.
Yeah, and they recycle and very rarely. But they're also really good at giving people a break for a week and pulling up someone new in that slot to showcase them.
Yeah.
Like Jeff Cobb came in from ROH this week, and now he's part of the Inner Circle. So, like, they're doing a lot of good things, and I haven't seen Jericho wrestle the same person twice.
No.
So I don't know what these people who bitch about it is. I don't know what their deal is. NXT, you definitely don't see the same people recycled over and over either.
And we also pointed out that, you know, Raw, SmackDown, and the main roster shows, like, there's they give a lot of TV time to some of the produced or the overly produced backstage segments.
Right.
Whereas NXT doesn't. They get straight to the wrestling. It has kind of like an old vintage Monday Nitro feel where the wrestling carries the show. And this pay-per-view was definitely a great testament of that. So what would you say, like, for instance, like the worst match on this pay-per-view is the best match on Raw and SmackDown?
Oh God, yeah, the worst. So to give you an idea, the worst match on this pay-per-view tonight, there was a handful of matches. I think there was only 6 matches total. The worst match was Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. And it was still a very watchable match.
And also like that fell victim to what it had to follow.
Oh, it had to follow. What did it follow? Oh, it had to follow Finn Balor and Johnny Gargano, which
Johnny G.
What a match! And
by the way, hold on. Was that a heel turn? Spoiler alert.
Hold on. Yeah, it was totally.
That was a heel turn?
Yeah. So the thing is, with NXT, as Mauro Ranallo puts it, every match feels like the summit, and then they repass it. So they're just really good at the way they place their cards on their matches on the card. They're so good because when they opened up with Keith Lee versus Dijakovic, I'm going, wow, you're blowing your load at the beginning of the pay-per-view. It was spectacular. I gave it 4 stars and I have a 5-star rating. I give it 4 stars. Oh, or we should debut our rating system.
That's right. We have a rating system. That we're gonna bring out now. As a matter of fact, so it's the 3 count rating system. One count, terrible. 2 count, mediocre, and 3 count, the full 3 count victory. It's hands down beautiful. What would you call?
So Dominic Dijakovic versus Keith Lee was the 3 count.
3 count.
It was so incredible. Keith Lee moves around like a cruiserweight for a 300+ pound boy.
Yeah.
He can do backflips. He can do everything. He's so smooth too. Like, he doesn't get winded, and he's really good at reading the crowd.
Yes.
He's great. I predict very big things for Keith Lee. You know what Keith Lee is? He's everything I wished Big E would allow to be being. Like, everything I wish they would allow Big E to be. And I love Big E.
You mean in the ring?
Yeah. No, I'm talking like a push-wise. Big E should be getting that kind of a push. But I'll put it this way.
But Big E is entertainment. Big E deserves like his own show after the show.
Yeah.
Like I it just seems like I can give Big E an open mic and say, "Here, you have an hour, entertain us."
Yeah. But Keith Lee in the ring, superior. Period. And I love Big E. That's not a knock on him. But there are guys who are better than guys. Keith Lee is much better than Big E.
Okay, so
period.
So that opening match was
I
didn't see it. So
no, it was a 3 count.
It's a 3 count.
Then the match that followed was Tegan Nox versus Dakota Kai. Any match where the women put each other through tables is they were a hard-hitting, wincing match. Every big move I was like wincing. So that was a 3 count as well. Yeah. So that was a 3 count.
Running the table.
Then the next match you came into,
there you go.
Finn Balor versus Johnny Gargano was an easy 3 count.
Yeah.
So good.
I concur. 3 count. That match was phenomenal. Go back and watch it. We laughed at how many times they kick out of their finish.
Oh yeah, they kick out of a finisher more than like Mortal Kombat, but it's still incredible. Then the match after that was Rhea Ripley and
Bianca
Belair, and that was a 2 count.
And like again, it fell victim to having to follow.
It did.
Finn Balor. Jimmy G. That's my guy. That's my guy. And I mean, every card has that. It's not a knock on that match because the match was actually really good. But every card has it. You know, and that wasn't even the apex of the show. It's just that like those are some real tough matches to follow.
Yeah, and so might I add, the pacing was brilliant because you had Keith Lee and Dijakovic was incredible. Could have been a main event. Then you had Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox, which was not better than Keith Lee versus Dijakovic, but it held its own against it. Then you had Balor versus Gargano, which beat out Keith Lee and Dijakovic. Then you had a match that I didn't think was going to be as good, but I knew would be really good. Was the tag match between the Broserweights and the Undisputed Era, which I was so happy. Spoiler alert, the Broserweights are your new NXT Tag Team Champs.
Yeah, just for the climax alone, that's a 3 count on my end. I thought that Matt Riddle was under fire for the tweets in his
Don't
criticism.
cross the box.
I said that all night. I said I know he's in Vince McMahon's doghouse because he was warned not to tweet or go on social media about Brock Lesnar, and he did it after that. After Brock confronted him at the Royal Rumble, he did it again. And I know, I mean, listen, we all have jobs. If the owner of the company says don't do something and you do it again, that usually like
in
like
the
a rider,
doghouse.
you're in the doghouse. He did it again and he got rewarded, but it was all well deserved. 3 count.
Absolute 3 count. And then the next match was that was our main event. Was our next match? Yeah. So it was Adam Cole versus Tommaso Ciampa. It is very hard for me in this day and era right now to find a wrestler that I like more than Tommaso Ciampa and Adam Cole.
I love them. Cole. You love Adam Cole.
I love them both. And it was like picking between children. But I thoroughly believed if
by
you
the
didn't...
way, I didn't mean to cut you off, but by the way, we came to the shocking discovery that Tommaso Ciampa is only 34 years old, but he's from our hometown, Boston, Massachusetts.
That's right. And I thought, Adam Cole has been the workhorse of NXT.
Yes.
He's been the people started him as the placeholder when he took it from Tommaso Ciampa. I mean, took it over for Tommaso Ciampa when Tommaso went out with neck surgery. But they gave it to Gargano first, and Gargano wasn't the guy to carry the brand. He's a very lovable and amazing performer. I mean, he is supremely talented, Johnny Gargano.
Yeah.
But he's not your guy. He's a guy for a feel-good moment. He's the Mick Foley of the NXT. He is the underdog that you love. He's endearing, and you will slap a title on him to reward him from time to time. But he's not a guy that you're going to say, okay, I want you to carry this for 10 months. You're our guy for our next 10 pay-per-views. No, he's not. Adam Cole is unequivocally that guy. Ever since Finn Balor, NXT hasn't had a guy like that.
Wow.
Or Samoa Joe. And so Gargano, I was like, all right, Gargano can't win against Finn Balor tonight because Finn Balor is the direction they need to go. And then I don't know why I jumped back to Finn Balor and Gargano, but
because of the outcome.
As far as Cole goes, Adam Cole. So the Undisputed Era lost their titles tonight, and I'm like, all right, it's going to be a clean sweep. We're going to have Tommaso Ciampa get the feel-good moment, the big return. He's going to get Goldie back because he never lost the title. He got it taken away from him. He had no choice.
Right.
And it was one of those things where I still believe Tommaso Ciampa, as good as he is he's on borrowed time in that ring right now.
Because of the neck surgery?
Yeah, he's got the feeling of Edge in 2012 to me right now, where it's like, the writing's on the wall. I don't think you'll see him in NXT or wrestling in a couple years. If he wrestles the way he wrestled tonight continuously, he's not going to have a long time going.
So you're referring to the announcer table spot where his
the announcer table spot was cringeworthy. I was terrified when we watched that spot live because I said, Jesus, he just had a surgically repaired neck. I understand you want to go above and beyond, give the audience something different they've never seen. I've never seen that spot before. And you want to give them like big hits.
Yeah.
But come on, I mean, do you really need to put a guy's neck at risk like that? It's one that's fragile? No, you don't. There's ways to tell stories without having to be absolutely brutal. And they did a great job, though. They had you on the edge of your seat the whole time. And
were you satisfied with the outcome?
No, I wasn't, because
also too before. As you get into
it's still a 3 count.
Still a 3 count, but we were talking as the pay-per-view was going on, and we were saying how in NXT there's hardly any run-ins.
There's no run-ins.
There's no run-ins.
Barely ever.
And
then the NXT main event, fucking the whole Undisputed Era comes out running in 3 times. And then not only that, you got the Vince overbooked ending with Johnny Gargano coming out and turning on Adam Cole.
No,
I mean, I'm sorry, on Tommaso Ciampa, so Adam Cole gets the Duke and he wins. The thing that I like about that, though, is that was the story that was supposed to be told at last year's WrestleMania. Last year's WrestleMania takeover was supposed to be Gargano versus Ciampa in the culmination of their feud, with Gargano getting revenge on Ciampa for turning on him. We drag it out a year later. You get the flip side of it now. You get Gargano as the asshole and Ciampa as the sympathetic babyface. So it's going to be amazing. Every match they've had were match of the year candidates of, each year. So it's like, okay, I know what they're going for. Yeah. They're going for the blow off, and Tommaso Ciampa deserves the big WrestleMania weekend moment. So it's like, okay, give them that.
But I understand, the NXT Takeover the Saturday before WrestleMania, but that match right there with the history of it.
It should be on WrestleMania.
Thank you. It should be on WrestleMania. Like these NXT boys, man, like they're really carrying the flag for the WWE.
Yeah, and that's my thing is like I thought I heard a conference call with Triple H saying that NXT and WWE will not be crossing over except for mega pay-per-views like Survivor Series and WrestleMania. They said Survivor Series every year will most likely be a staple of NXT crossing over now. Okay. But yeah, you make the argument that Adam Cole, Jesus, I'm messing up names like Jim Ross here. Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano deserve to be in WrestleMania.
Absolutely.
As an NXT showcase.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, by the way, what did you get that match?
Oh, 3 count.
3 count.
All the way. So you had almost a perfect 3 count for every match, with the exception of Belair and Rhea Ripley. And the only reason I gave it a 2 count was there was multiple botches that shouldn't have been in it.
Yeah. Well, I was more merciful. Again, like the only reason why I gave it a 2 count was just the placement of it, and I understand it was a women's title match, but what Finn Balor and my boy Johnny G had just finished doing, I mean, like that you guys just have to see it. You guys have to see it, and tell us and comment and let us know if you agree with our assessment of the pay-per-view, and let us know what you guys think about as far as the feuds and the rivals that we mentioned earlier on in the show, and throw some out there, and we'll read them and we'll address them on our next show.
We'll address everything if you reach to it. And again, we want to thank you guys for the viewership. I don't know what happened a month ago, but our videos just spiked up out of nowhere. So Scott Steiner, I was looking up to see if he did any interesting shit. He didn't do anything. Like, I can't figure out. So if anyone in that comment section could tell me what sparked the interest to go to that video and just blow it off the wall from, 1,000 hits to, 1,000 views to like 170,000 views, please tell me, and please keep doing more of it.
Absolutely.
And let us know if that's what you love, because we want to get a lot more of that kind of content.
Yeah, you guys, we're growing. Sometimes you move at a total pace, but we're moving progressively forward, despite the speed of it at times. But like we said on our last show, we promised to bring you guys some more content, more content like this, more interviews. There's a couple of events that we're lining up to
in our backyard,
attend. And man. We thank you guys again. You can't tell you how much the subscribers and the likes and even the dislikes helps us to energize us and keep us going with this. And we want to do it because we enjoy it, and we know you guys do too.
Yeah, we're going to get a lot more content, and I just want to say a few things. One poignant thing, if you're not moving backward, you're moving forward, which we are.
Absolutely.
And 2, I don't know what's wrong with y'all, but most of you are blind. The comparisons to Austin St. John have to be stopped because we are not relatives. I'm just a diehard Red Ranger fanboy, and I've worked with Austin, and he's a wonderfully professional guy.
Yes, he is.
He's a big wrestling fan himself. He's really talented on the mic as well too.
He sure is.
But
he sure is.
I have been hard pressed to meet multiple people that have not confused me with Austin St. John, and I wish But I don't know. I mean, thank you for the comparison.
You guys do look like you're separated.
Everyone thinks we're separated at birth and brothers, and it's weird, but it's funny because
Joey St. John.
I was like reading. I was reading the comment, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? Even in this?" So it was hysterical. But yeah, and kudos to Big Papa Pump. He's always a fun interview. And no, we didn't pay for him. We actually got an interview, and we do get other interviews too. We're gonna get a lot of up and coming talent in the New England circuit, in the New England area, the East Coast area, whatnot. We're gonna be doing a lot of chasing too. Yeah. We are going to AEW on the 15th of April for the second show.
And we
in
also
Boston.
Social media. We have Twitter. We have Twitter now.
Yes, we want to go to our Twitter because you want to keep up with us at all the latest exploits and everything that we do, because we absolutely try to be as relevant in our hand on the pulse of things. But I mean, it gets tough. Life gets in the way. And, we're at Twitter at ST Revolution 2, and that's capital STR Evolution 2, but it's a revolution. And that's what we're bringing you. And it may not be televised, but it will be available.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back. We'll be back soon, shortly, ASAP.
We'll be back we'll be in the very near future. Our goal is to get much more content out, because you can't ride off yesterday's victories. You've got to keep creating and forging forward. So we're trying to bring you a lot more content.
Oh yeah.
We don't live in the same exact area, so it's tough. We have to schedule with life and whatnot and bring people together so we can do this show for you. But tell us if you'd like us to do a video format of our podcast, or you enjoy the audio. We're still playing around with the scenarios here, but we would like to do some videos too.
Absolutely.
And
that's coming. That's definitely in the future. Again, there's going to be a lot of Smarktank Revolution content that's coming to you guys, and we're keeping a lot of stuff close to the chest right now.
Yeah.
So just have faith with us. Check the channel. Check out all of our content on here. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and we'll be back to you guys with the next one very, 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 very soon. Take care.